I am Michelle Arthurs, if you missed that. I am one of the Customer Success Manager across ANZ, and alongside me is Tracy Dowling. She is not able to be here with us today, but she is my partner in crime in making all of this happen. And a huge thank you to the team behind the scene for helping setting the series up. And with that, I'll pass it over to our friend here, Gavin Hunter, who will introduce himself and take over the rest of the call. Over to you, Gavin.
Thanks, Michelle. So good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're calling from today. My name is Gavin Hunter. I'm a Modern Work Customer Success Manager like Michelle. We're based in the same office. I'm actually a few meters away, but I popped into a room so that I can talk to you freely, openly, and hopefully with a bit of volume. So without further ado, we're here today to talk to you about how you can effectively engage your workforce. You can improve employee retention, increase internal morale, leverage your existing investments in the Microsoft platform. We'll discuss problems affecting a modern communications group. We'll inform you with knowledge of what you have available to you today, and hopefully leave you inspired to take on the challenge of driving your workforce engagement using Viva Connections, Engage, Amplify, and our little tack-on product company Communicator at the end. And for the organizations who really want to complete the picture, Viva Amplify is part of the Viva suite, and we'll be highlighting that at the end, along with some new premium Engage features within the Viva suite designed to supercharge your teams. So how are we going to get to our connection nirvana? Research shows us that your organization's success is directly tied to the investments you make in your staff. Unfortunately, many organizations view the employee experience as a luxury rather than a fundamental product. Our research tells us that globally only 15% of employees are engaged at work. The other 85% aren't connected to their workplace, don't share their organization's goals, and don't feel like they belong. Don't worry, it gets worse. Those 85% are 12 times more likely to leave your organization, and that's statistically within a 12-month period. The longer these staff remain disconnected, the greater the likelihood that they're going to be looking for other opportunities, which costs time and money while replacements are sought, and harms your organization's reputation as a great place to work. And finally, by engaging your workforce and connecting them to your company's message, you bring them into the fold and increase their contribution to delivering quality services for your customers. It's not all doom and gloom. Employees want purpose, and they want to feel that the work that they do has an impact. Leaders now more than ever need a modern way to connect to employees, to allow them to develop, to celebrate successes, and to communicate broadly and clearly in a way that cuts through the noise. Organizations need tools that allow them to create communities across borders and bring the collective talent to bear in solving problems. Not all about employees. We live in unprecedented times, and we've all had to pivot quickly to models which only a couple of years ago would have been the exception rather than the rule. We know that the introduction of hybrid work has resulted in unintentional isolation. It's difficult to maintain relationships through a screen, particularly if your whole day is task-based without reprieve. Staff are being bombarded by communications constantly. Email broadcasts, newsletters, notifications, Teams messages, and often most, if not all of these, are not being deployed tactically. We send messages intended for a few to all, and we're shocked to discover that communications aren't landing, that they've been missed, or have missed the mark on effectiveness. We also live in the world of engage. We're also in a new world of engagement, When everybody was in the office, it was much easier. Hold a morning tea occasionally, visit someone's desk for a catch-up, hold events in conference rooms. Physical proximity leads to complacency of how we bring messaging to staff. And finally, we have very little idea if we're being heard. Nobody picks up a newspaper and reads it from cover to cover. Why should we expect that staff are reading our entire newsletter or intranet homepage? Communications teams globally have had to resort to shouting into the void in the hopes of the message landing on the right sets of ears at the right time. It's fatiguing, and for those meant to drive this engagement, often demoralizing and not knowing if you've been able to make an impact. Fortunately, we can help. Shouldn't be any surprise then that today's session is based on connection. Without the right tools at your disposal, connecting with your workforce is extremely difficult, but no single tool is going to be able to do the job. Fortunately, you've got access to Microsoft 365, and the first product we'll be showing you today is Viva Connections. So what is Viva Connections? Consider it as a one-stop shop for your staff to view organizational news, catch up on the latest Engage conversations from their feed. Yes, that was previously Yammer, and access key resources from either the dashboard or other internal resources. Through audience targeting, which we'll discuss in detail later today, you can be surgical in your approach to communications. Why do staff members in Cairns need to know about in-person events occurring in Brisbane? Why would staff in specific job roles need to know about professional development opportunities that aren't relevant to them? And while it's interesting, it's largely noise. And finally, the dashboard gives you an opportunity to draw staff in by addressing the what's in it for me part of the equation. By using either built-in adaptive cards or by creating your own, you can bring true mobility to the experience in a way we've never seen before. What if your workforce isn't ready for a streamlined experience just yet? We've got an answer for that too. If you're using SharePoint Online as your internet page, you can present this directly through Teams and use all the same news, dashboarding, and audience targeting. Resource presentation as you would with Viva Home, with the Viva Home experience. And just so I'm completely clear, Viva Connections is not an intranet replacement. Typically, these sites are old. They've got multiple stakeholders with extremely specific use cases, and many link back to other internal systems that are only accessible from within your network. We recommend that unless you're confident that you have the ability to focus your homepage, creating a Viva Connections site in parallel with a communications intent is best practice. And this is great for those who are using Microsoft Teams at a desktop, but what about a frontline workforce? How do you get them involved without the use of a printer and a pin board at each location? Alternatively, sucking up time from their day to find a desktop to log into just to view their news and email. Easy. Where we're going, we don't need desks. Because Viva Connections runs within Teams, it's built with mobility in mind. Dashboard cards, newsfeed, and organizational resources are just a tap away. Consistent but individualized staff experiences will keep them coming back to discover what's happening in their world. Mobility is no longer optional. In 2023, we know that staff want to work however it suits them, from a location that suits them, at a time that suits them. You're in a battle for talent, and flexibility is king. So with that, I'm going to switch into demo mode, which is always my favorite and most dangerous part of the session. So if you'll bear with me for a quick second while I swap over some resources, I'll take you through what Viva Connections looks like in a live environment. I get some thumbs up from the audience once that's appeared. Thank you, Michelle. So what you're looking at here is our Contoso landing page. This is a fictitious user by the name of Adele Vance, and Adele is here on the Contoso landing page. Adele is also looking at the Viva Home experience, and as you can see out of the box, it does appear that Adele has a couple of options for the Viva resources, along with some dashboard elements. Now, many of these are out of the box, but you can customize them. Viva Engage, Viva Insights, these provide links to other teams' resources, but you can customize it. We'd like to see you come up with ideas on how you're going to address the what's in it for me scenario. And two ideas that resonate really well are how much have I been paid, which you can see here in this mock-up that I've done of a payslip card, or alternatively, how much holidays do I have and how do I take it? Now, this is fantastic. We've got the adaptive card dashboard at the top. We've got resources within the site itself. And on the right-hand side of the desktop experience, we have the feed. So it's a compressed view, a combination of your intranet page and Engage resources all pulled together as one. If you wanted to, you could present your SharePoint page directly, or users can elect to progress through. So by clicking the Contoso landing button in the top right-hand corner of the screen here, I can go straight through to my SharePoint page, and I have that very traditional experience. So it's an organizational decision as to whether or not you want the home experience or the connections experience. but this allows you some more flexibility to present the page in a way that suits you. This is a demo environment, so there's not a lot of content on here, but you can see I've got the dashboard element there. I've got some news articles. I have my Engage feed down the bottom, and I've even got a Twitter feed, although it looks a little bit old now. So we've got some great content. We can access resources, fantastic. But what about the mobile experience? That's great. Let's have a look. So I'm just opening up Teams on my mobile phone at the moment. And whilst we wait for that to load, of course, it's decided now to take a little bit of a holiday. So I'm just going to close Teams. I'm going to reopen it again. And straight away, we're dropped into the Viva Connections experience. So without anything, I've opened Teams. I have access to all the same resources. If I tap my View Payslip button, I can view that there and then. If I want to access my feed, and remember, this is an aggregate of all the content you have available. I've got announcements from Engage. I have some posts from my Lego Masters page, which I like. I'm going to select that one. I have news articles from my organization that I can click on to get further detail. I can even interact with them if I'm able to down the bottom here and leave a comment. This, oops, if I can spell today, looks great. And that's immediately available for everybody to view. And away we go. So that's Viva Connections. Very straightforward, setting up news, setting up resources so that users can effectively access content on their mobile devices. Just need to switch my camera over. Sorry, one quick second. They can access resources, they can access their feed, their dashboard from any device, anytime, however they like. I'm going to switch back into the presentation now, and we'll carry on. But fantastic. We've got a communication tool which allows us to present targeted content to the right people. What I didn't show you there was audience targeting. So Michelle, if you can remind me, I'll go back later on and we'll touch on that. We're not shouting to the void. We've provided a consistent landing experience across different work preferences. So what about community? How are we drawing people in? So the next piece of our communications puzzle is Viva Engage. And before we go further, and this was generated by Bing AI using DALL-E, we should talk about the dapper elephant in the room. So you might be thinking, I'm sure this is just Yammer with a new logo, or I've tried this 5 years ago and it didn't work then, so why should I try now? I can tell you that Yammer's been reborn. It's been eating healthy, going to the gym, enrolling in adult education courses, and is ready to take on the world. Let me take you through the Viva Engage of 2023 and how it's going to empower you to bring employee engagement to the forefront. At the beginning of this call, I talked about what we know. Hybrid or remote staff are feeling isolated, and COVID's taught us that the feeling of belonging to a community is critical to mental health. When we're all in one location, it was simpler to bring that sense of community. Viva Engage will help you break down silos. Through considered official community creation, you can bring together individuals who normally never converse and draw on unique experiences to encourage social interaction and communities of practice. You'll give a voice to your leaders. Modern leaders care about their brand. They understand that they set the standard for the organization, and those who are aspirational will want to curate their internal brand, share articles, and create engagement across their areas. And with storylines, everybody gets their own space to share their own updates, build an individual network of following, and tell their story. Starting with broad communities, Engage is a world-class community platform that leverages teams to deliver an open, secure, and easy-to-use way to bring employees together around jobs, departments, shared interests, social causes, employee resource groups, and more, to give employees a digital place to come connect and share. Fast and familiar interface and a host of new features Make it easy for employees to join, exchange ideas, ask questions, learn from each other, loop in others, and contribute to the success of their peers and the success of your organisation. Rich conversations, announcements, Q&A, pinned posts and other conversation types enable employees to sharpen their messages, reach their target audiences, and drive meaningful engagement. They can happen across Microsoft 365 and Viva applications. New features allow for admins to boost and feature their announcements and measure the impact through a variety of analytics and insights. And as you can see, the time to reach employees is 4.5 times faster with Engage and doesn't get filtered to a subfolder of their mailbox. Storyline is all about you. You might want to build social ties across the organization, share content that is of interest to you, or showcase expertise as an internal trusted advisor or guru. Leaders use storylines to model the culture they want to see. They humanize themselves and showcase their authentic selves. Some even use it as a direct channel for feedback or employee listening. And as a communicator, you can use your internal influences to amplify your messaging and drive change. Up next, we've got a very quick video on storylines and stories. I'll wait another second or two just for those who are having issues. Can I get some thumbs up if the video is finished playing? Brilliant, thank you. As I said at the beginning, we're going to be branching between what you have today and what you could have with Viva Suite. So the next few slides are some content that you could get with Viva Suite if your organization decides to do so. And then we're going to have a demo on Viva Engage. So Viva Engage contains a dedicated space for driving leadership engagement at scale. It's done through a templated or customized communication strategy for leaders and their organizations. By facilitating this two-way conversation between leadership and the wider audience base, Viva Engage can drive open discussions to the entire organization using modern tools like town halls, announcements, pinned posts, and Q&A. For your leadership team, the Leadership Corner provides them a way to share their strategy, drive initiatives, and address employee questions by using Viva Engage Leadership Corner. Leaders can connect with employees as a united front through communities and conversations. Post a poll, build a two-way dialogue, post announcements, and then measure the impact of that engagement to refine or adjust your leaders' engagement strategy. And for employees, the space enables them to surface their questions, provide feedback, and participate in agency-wide initiatives and events. Viva Engage is all about connection. And in the Leadership Corner, leaders and employees can engage directly, improving staff buy-in for the leaders' objectives. In the Leadership Corner, leaders can also access analytics dashboards to understand sentiment, the reach and engagement of their content, conversations and communities. There are pivots for organizational analytics and campaigns, and answers that include a variety of ways to drill into the data and understand participation. You can build momentum for organizational initiatives through creation of social campaigns. Set the objectives for the campaign, assign executive sponsors to encourage participation, and then measure the impact through goal trackers to highlight progress and celebrate success with your team. And finally, another way to connect is through Ask Me Anythings. Ask Me Anything events are moderated Q&A answer periods where leaders and employees can connect to ask and address questions. Organisers have moderation controls to keep the discussion focused and moving forward, as well as detailed analytics about engagement. Here we have an AMA that's underway. You can see the event details, key organisers, and some quick metrics around activity. But once again, we're going to swap into demo time. Michelle, how's the chat going there?
All is going good. I think Steve has a quick question on how do we make the name appears in the Viva Connections part, but I think it's just a new Connections 2.0 that would actually drag the AD through. We'll take that offline.
Yeah, no worries. I'll have a look at that one. So I'll just share out my virtual machine again. Brilliant. Can I get a thumbs up just to let me know that that's popped in? Brilliant. Thank you, Michelle. So jumping straight into Viva Engage, we've already seen Viva Engage present within the Connections application. Now, this is the full app inside of Teams, where you can see I have my home, my communities, my storylines across the top as my navigation bar, and immediately I have some stories present. Now think of these as temporary stories that you can view on, not unlike some other social media products in the market. I'm just going to click on a few of them. So Lee's very happy that he's traveled to the Microsoft headquarters. I'm going to give that a like. Click through to the next one. Grady's having a brilliant time at Noosa by the looks of it. No, sorry, that's Mooloolaba. Quite like that one. They're fantastic. You can go through those. This is available on desktop and mobile devices. Jumping out of there, I have my home feed. Now, if this looks familiar, like many other social products, that's because it's designed to have a familiar user interface. In my Lego Masters community, which is labeled official, as an official Katoso community, I can engage with content. That's fantastic. Everyone needs a bit more Lego in their life, which is exactly what I can post here. And people can immediately react and respond to that. Now you can do dynamic posts. You could add bold, italics. You can add images. You can respond with GIFs. You can react. You can respond. You can share. Everything is capable inside of Viva Engage. Now, these are the communities I'm a member of. You can also see up the right-hand side, I have a compressed view, which if I click on it, whoops, it's because my screen is too small. That's fine. Here are all my joined communities, and I've jumped straight to my storylines where I can share my story, my first story if I want to. I've already got Hello World there. I can post images. I can update cover photo. This is my space to play with. So you can immediately filter down content to an area that you're wanting to view specifically. You can jump into specific communities. So these are the most active ones. You can post announcements as a community manager. So you can see here, in this case, because it's a demo environment, the user is mod administrator. You probably don't have someone named mod administrator in your organization, but they've made an announcement that they will be launching a ended financial year competition with some Lego merch. I've already responded, but I really like my comments, so I'm going to give it a thumbs up there as well. Now, if you post an announcement, it appears in the activity feed inside of Teams. So you actually get to see in the flow of work immediately what you've posted. So users who might not be actively in Viva Engage will get a notification, and they can view this just by going into the activity feed, into the announcement itself, and they get the full view of the announcement. They can interact with it right here before they go back to what they were perhaps doing in a work context as well. So it's a great way to get announcements out there, a great way to get that just-in-time involvement from users as well. Michelle, did we have any questions come through about Viva Engage so far? I just can't see the chat.
Yeah, we've just got one that popped through. So do announcements also email everyone in that community? If so, can this email be turned off?
So I can tell you it can. And if that sounds non-committal, it's because it totally is. Because when you post an announcement, there is a tick box to say, and I'm paraphrasing, I'd like to really, really annoy everyone by emailing them about this as well. So out of the box, it doesn't email everyone when you post an announcement, unless the person posting the announcement decides they want to do that. It only comes through Viva. So I hope that helps. Brilliant. Well, we'll keep going. As you can see, I can share immediately from my homepage. I can select a community or a storyline. So I can say I want to post this in a particular community that I'm a member of. I can post it to my storyline for my followers. And I've got a few different options. So if I was posting, say, actually, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Brisbane CBD community, I'd like to ask a question, and this will appear for others to answer. What are some good lunch options in the Brisbane CBD? And people can respond. It identifies itself as a question with a specific view and allows you to have a point of distinction from something like a standard post. But with that, I'm going to swap back to my deck now, if I can find my mouse. Switch back to my camera. Brilliant. So what you just saw was Viva Engage, which is all available to you today. There are some features that we have in addition, which was on the slides that I showed earlier, that are not currently available unless you have Viva Suite. So I just like to call this out to make it absolutely clear before you get off the call of what you have available today. And feel free to take a screenshot of this slide. It's not confidential. This is for you to have and be informed. Most of what you've seen is available. If you want to take the next step, Viva Suite is available to you. In fact, you can actually get Viva Engage Premium on its own if that's of interest to you. And that gives you access to the features which are below the line, as opposed to just everything on top. That includes the leadership corner. It gives you the ability to post on behalf of. So for those communications teams that want to post on behalf of an executive, you need Viva Suite to do that. It gives you a communicator's role and allows you to run campaigns in addition. So those are some great options if your organization is in the market or looking for those sorts of features. So with that, we've taken care of connecting our workforce to our message, and we've given them the tools to build a community and grow as a group. So all that's left to do is bring the message to them. But let me talk to you about how we can amplify your internal communications. Arriving in the second half of this year, Viva Amplify is our omni-channel communications platform, which empowers you to reach your organization's staff with messages that are relevant to them, consistent across delivery channels, and hit the mark with brand alignment. Cut down on rework, centralize your campaign management, and bring consistency of messaging and really cut through the noise to bring your message to the right staff at the right time, in the right channel by meeting them where they are. Now, who benefits from Viva Amplify? For corporate communicators tasked with organisation-wide communications, you can curate campaigns, deliver messaging right into the flow of work, and measure the impact of the message. Branch leaders or local area leaders can drive their own campaigns, highlighting their initiatives to staff, providing strategic updates, and promote line of business activities like critical mandatory training dates that they need to achieve. Local leadership could use Amplify to communicate to specific cohorts. Facilities managers announcing changes to office spaces could use Amplify to ensure their message has been heard, and IT managers conveying information on upcoming changes or improvements could reduce the organisational change risk through targeting of impacted staff well in advance of the change. And even project managers can provide status updates to stakeholders, ensuring that no one gets left behind. Of course, it's up to every organisation to determine who should use Amplify, as it's a very powerful tool. But these are just a few of the scenarios where we see that it drives value. Here's a very short 60-second video of Amplify in action. I'm going to hit play, but if it doesn't automatically play for you, please feel free to press play yourself. Hopefully everyone's reached the end of the video now. Yeah, we can share some of the video links after this. If it wasn't able to play for you, that's no worries at all. Awesome. So, how does Viva help you? It helps you supercharge and streamline your communications workflows. You can reduce clutter by planning, analysing, and publishing communications in a single hub. Write messages faster and effectively with writing guidance and best practices from the organisation, and save time on publishing by automating campaigns in an editorial calendar. No more copying and pasting into different systems. The number of agencies and organisations that I've worked with that will use one system for authoring before copying and pasting into another that doesn't have analytics, it's very, very common. Seamlessly manage approvals with workflows that show who's reviewing messages at which time, and then segment and deliver on multiple campaigns through a single pane of glass. With the integrated writing guidance, you can reduce variation in structure and tone of your messages, aligning to a common brand personality that resonates with your readers. You can align your stakeholders to your vision and use real metrics to measure the success of your message, understanding what works and, more importantly, what doesn't, so that you can improve for next time. And finally, be heard. Everybody wants to know that everybody knows the feeling of sending out a carefully curated message and not knowing what the impact was. Reach the right staff in the right platform at the right time to maximize the impact of your messaging, and use reporting to refine approaches. Tailor different messages for unique personas. What is relevant and engaging for one cohort may land flat for another, and avoid rework by executing campaigns in multiple places from one tool. Now, with that, we've covered how Microsoft Viva can help you connect to your workforce and help them connect with each other. But what about those times you just need to get a message out there? So a campaign and email sending is a dangerous option. Emails are often filtered down to subfolders, which makes getting eyes on message quickly an issue. And then how do you measure the impact of your communication? Who saw it? Did they interact with it? Stepping outside the bounds of Microsoft products and into our community, the power of the Microsoft Cloud and Microsoft Teams helps fulfill yet another need. Oh, someone's taken control. I'll just snatch that back. Company Communicator is an application template which was originally developed by the Office team in 2021. And since then, it has been regularly updated with community variants improving on functionality, reporting, and interactivity options even today. It allows you to deliver messaging directly to the team's chat of practically any cohort of users for almost any purpose. Organization-wide communications, crisis communications, reminders for those mandatory training courses we know, love, and definitely did not leave to the last minute, can be delivered straight to a Teams client without being filtered to a subfolder or ignored on the way through. Got a very short video now of how the Company Communicator operates. So I'm going to hit play on my side and hopefully it plays for all of you at the same time. But effectively, the Company Communicator allows you to curate a new message by using the option on the top right, but I already have one in draft, so I'm going to edit it here. I can view my message, I can set a title, upload an image, put in a summary, and add up to 6 buttons with click-through tracking so that I can see who's engaged with my message. Using a variety of options to send, I can select who I'd like to send it to, and in this case, I've selected a mailing group. I can also then change options associated with scheduled sending. So if I want to send something half an hour before an event occurs, like a scheduled change outage, or something before a town hall, I can do that as well. And if I really want to make it important and put a notification in the activity feed, I can do that as well. So saving as a draft, I can now click the ellipsis on the right-hand side. I can preview in a channel, but I think I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go straight ahead and click send. I get one final option to confirm that who I'm sending it to is correct, and I can make sure that there's no spelling mistakes in my message before I send it out. Clicking send, Azure spins up in the background, retrieves the list of users that it needs to be delivered to, and immediately sends the message in a one-to-one chat. You can see the notification that I've got there. I can view the message, and clicking the join here link just goes through to the Microsoft homepage in this example, but can be any URL that you desire, internal or external. I've now responded to the message. If I want to know as a communicator who's actually viewed the message and if they've responded, reacted, etc., I can go back to the Communicator app and I can view the status. In this scenario, I've had 3 successes and 1 reads, along with 1 person clicking the join here link. Now, you can also get detailed results, which show you who clicked the message, how they responded to it, and if they clicked through. So I think we've all been in scenarios where someone has said, I never received that, you never sent it to me, I never clicked it, etc. Now you've got the receipts. You know who's responded to your message. So if you've got something very important that you need people to see, mandatory training as an example, it's a great way to get that out there without it being filtered. So some of the benefits, it helps you deliver 1 message at a time directly to those who need to see it exactly when they need to see it. You can report on readership, response, and probably most importantly, who's interacted with the message through click-through tracking. You can gauge landing, so people can respond to messages. You can see this kind of response that they've had. You can improve participation in whole of organization events. I used the example of a town hall. I've had organizations who have many thousands of users. They might have thousands of people sign up to attend a live event and only a handful actually attend on the day. You can remind people that it's happening and put it back in front of mind so they don't get distracted or forget. And you can avoid deploying additional tools through meeting your staff where they are today. People are using Teams, send them messaging then. And with that, we have some resources for you today. We have a newly launched Viva community which includes adoption resources on all Viva products, either included in your licensing as you have it, or as part of the Viva suite. So feel free to have a look at that. These resources will be sent through in a follow-up. We've got the Connections Adoption Guide, Viva Engage Adoption Guide, and some rebranding resources for those of you who already have Yammer and are transitioning across to Engage. With regard to the company communicator, there are some variants. There's the company communicator original, which was developed by the Office team, and the variant that was on display today, or the fork that was on display today in the demo, with those additional features such as scheduling and CSV upload. So with that,